This is Sach with Posh Pooch Designs, and this is our live video chat. And today we're going to talk about what is WPI. Now, if you've never tuned in to any of my video chats, just so you know, we have a live video chat, or we try to, every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, Mountain Time. And it's Mountain Time because I live in Colorado, around Denver. So every Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Today's topic is, like I said, what is a WPI? And we're going to be discussing that in just a second. But first I wanted to show you a couple of things that I received this week. And the first thing I wanted to show you is this beautiful crochet hook. Isn't that lovely with all the paw prints? A friend of mine, her name is Jennifer, and she runs the Day by Day clay and crochet items. And she's also a full-time music teacher. And she makes crochet handles like this one that she sent me. And she does absolutely gorgeous work. Now, I've made some crochet handles just for fun. Good morning, Dana. Thank you for popping in. Good morning, Sandra. Thank you for popping in. But she makes just gorgeous crochet handles. And she doesn't have like a web page or anything like that. Every now and then, she just puts out a shout out on Facebook and she says, I'm taking 20 orders or I'm taking 100 orders. And she does a lot more in the summer than through the winter because, like I said, she is a music teacher. But anyway, she put a shout out for this one and I could not resist with those paw prints. Isn't that gorgeous? She said, enjoy it and have fun. I'm like, it's too beautiful to use. Good morning, Tina. Thanks for popping in. So if you want to find her, she's Day by Day Clay and Crochet, because she does crochet also. Anyway, I just had to share that with you. She does beautiful work. Her name's Jennifer Wheeler, and she's just, like I said, she does beautiful, beautiful work. Now, I'm going to kind of change up the order of our video today, and I'm going to show you what's happening this week first, and then we'll talk about the WPI and what it means. And so last week we had our crochet along for our Doughnut Pillow. And of course this is the one that we made together. It's so much fun. I have made about 8 of these now. They're just so much fun to make and I just love them. And this is the big one that we did. And there's 4 videos. There's the intro video with the supply list. Then there's step 1, which is the top, step 2, the bottom, and then step 3, putting it together, stuffing it, and decorating it. And the other thing in the video, someone had asked me if this is all done in chunky yarn or 2 strands of worsted weight. And someone had asked me if they could do one with just 1 strand of worsted weight. And so I did. Now you have to go down to an H hook from that end hook on the big one. But you can make it a little bit smaller, and it's a lot of fun. The big one I think is about 15 to 16 inches and the small one is about 10, 11, 12, depending on how tightly that you stitch it and how much stuffing you put in. And that's what we did last week, where our donut, I called it the Sprinkle Doughnut Pillow. The whole pattern is on my blog, and then all the steps are on there. And then all the videos you can click through. Some people prefer a written pattern with pictures, and there are some pictures, a lot of pictures actually, on there. And some people prefer just the video. So I like to kind of do a bunch of different ways. I don't always do everything the same, and so I just wanted to make sure everyone could do it. And it's not a timed crochet along. It's just something fun to do. And it's a great thing to give to your college student, needs a little pillow on their bed or something. Do it in their colors or something like that. But something that I discovered is that if you do it exactly the same, and do it in colors of the pizza, it looks like a pizza. And the only thing different is just don't cinch it in the middle. Okay, so then another thing I had already had ready, and I had the videos already, and they just needed to be edited and put out there yesterday. And that is Doughnut Coasters. And I wanted you to see this one because when I was doing, this is the one I did, this is the one I did in the videos. And I did the brown and I did yellow, and then I used just a variegated yarn to make the sprinkles like this. It's just a variegated cotton, and it came out looking like a pizza. So you can make donuts or you can make pizza coasters, and they're lots of fun to make. And that video was put out yesterday. So, and these are also very addictive, and they're a great way to use up all those leftover cottons. Now you can do them in worsted weight number 4 also. Just remember, cotton's absorbs, and worsted weight does not. But they both work great as coasters, just to keep the moisture off your wood. And those are what we did this week. Now I do have a new square coming out for you for August, and it's our August Peridot. I wasn't sure how to say Peridot, and so I got online, I Googled, how do you pronounce this word? Because I didn't want to say it wrong, and the video, or the little mouth thing says Peridot. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, so the August Peridot Square will be coming out next Tuesday, Monday. Wait, today's Tuesday. It'll be coming out next Monday. I try to do the, because we're doing the yearly crochet along. Good morning, Jen. We're doing the yearly crochet along where we do 1 6-inch square each month. And then next year in January, I'm going to put it together and have a project for us to do together if you want to. And so that one, I try to do the new square block the first Monday of each month. And so I'm going to try to get that one ready. The pattern's in testing, and I like how it turned out. And as soon as I get those results back, we'll get it edited and stuff. And it should be ready next Monday. Okay, so that's what's new this week at Posh Pooch Designs. So now we're going to go back to what is a WPI. And basically, the WPI means wraps per inch. And it's a really neat way to figure out what weight your yarn is if you don't have the wrapper anymore. Here's an example. I have this skein of yarn. I think it's a chunky 5 or 6, but I'm not sure. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something like this. You can use a crochet hook. You can use the end of a pin. And what you'll do is you'll just put that yarn on there and you'll start wrapping it around. And the main thing is, don't stretch the yarn. Don't pull it too tightly, but don't let it gape either, because you want just a nice consistency on whatever you're doing. And then what you're going to do, what I always do also is this extra string here, I'll just put a little piece of Scotch tape on that just to hold it while I measure. But I'm just going to use my thumb this time. And then you take a ruler and you measure how many times you wrapped that yarn around in 1 inch. 1, 2, it looks like about 5, right? 6. And then there's a chart that will tell you how many times the yarn is wrapped around for a specific type of yarn. And we'll get to that in just a second. But this is another way. If you have one of these little rulers, this works fantastic. I taped the yarn down back here. I wrapped it the whole length of the ruler of the inch. Here's my inch. And then you can see how many wraps I did. And this works out to a worsted weight number 4. Now I have a chart here that I got online, and this is an American chart. And remember, if you're from Europe or over using an English style chart, there's a few more measurements between some of the ones that we here in America use, because some of our yarns are just a little bit different, and we have more variations. And also remember that these numbers, you can see, like this one says 19 to 22 wraps. So there's a little bit of give in there to see the weight of the yarn. And you can go also to the Guild of America. You can go to the Craftsy website. Red Heart and Lion Brand all have this chart on their web pages also. And then I'll have this one on the blog. And you know, I always put the blog in there of where you can find these things. And so, like for the lace weight up here, you're going to have between 23 and 35 wraps. That's a lot of wraps because it's a teeny tiny yarn. But down here on your Super Jumbo, you're going to only have 5 wraps. And that's that big, thick yarn. So depending on how many wraps you have will determine the weight of the yarn you have. And it's a really, really great, simple tool to understand, because I get given yarn all the time. Like, here's one I got given here. She's like, I don't need this anymore. And she gave me a bag and it's got a bunch of yarn like this in it. Probably a leftover project. And this one to me looks like about a 4 or 5. But if I'm not sure, I can wrap it around a pen, or I can wrap it around the end of one of my bigger crochet hooks, or wrap it right on to my ruler here. And I can wrap it on there, see how many wraps I get per inch, and then I can correspond that to the chart, and it'll say, oh, okay, well, you got 7 or 8, so that's a bulky number 5. So it's a really, really great tool to learn how to use, and it's super simple too. All you need is a ruler, because you can do it right on your ruler, or you can do it on anything. Okay, so that's a good question. Would it be thicker on here? And the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter, because it doesn't even really matter how big this is. It has to do with how many wraps you're getting together. Because whether I wrap it on this or I wrap it, let me pull this off of this one, on here, I'm going to get the same amount of wraps, because we're measuring thickness this way, not this way. The amount of yarn this way doesn't matter. It's how many wraps this way are next to each other. And you're going to get the same amount of wraps no matter how big the depth of the ruler is. That doesn't matter, because you're only going to be able to wrap so many times, you know, for a thick one. Like this is like 6, and then you'll wrap this one. It'll let me show you. Let me see if I can get the other end of this yarn out. And let me kind of give you a little example here. That'll help. Because when I was doing this, beginning this many, many years ago, I thought the same thing. And then as I did this, I realized, oh man, that makes all the sense in the world. Okay, so here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wraps. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me take one off so they'll be exactly the same. Okay, so here is, I'll hold it with my finger. Here is the 7 wraps on here. And then here is, let's see if I can do this. Let's get this so you can see it. It'll be the same. Is that making sense? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. There and there. It'll be the same amount of wraps, whether you're using something cylinder round or this, because you're measuring this way, not this way. And I hope that makes sense. It doesn't matter if you're using a big thing or a small thing. You're measuring the depth this way of how thick the yarn is. So, no, and I understand that's a very good question, Jen, because I thought the same thing when I was first learning this years ago, that didn't make sense. Because when I initially saw it, they were using a ruler like my green one, only it was like a wooden one or something. And then they were talking about putting it on the end of a knitting needle, a big thick knitting needle. I thought, well, that doesn't even make sense, but it actually does once you do it a few times. And it is really a great tool, because like I said, I get people that give me yarn all the time. I have a really sweet lady. I'm not going to tell you her name because I don't want you to know who she is. But I call her my yarn fairy. And she loves to garage sell. And every now and then there's just a basket of yarn. Sometimes 1 or 2, sometimes 20 skeins of yarn just sitting on my porch. And it just says, it'll just say things like, have a great day, Sarah, or happy birthday or whatever's going on. You know, every now and then I just get a little basket of yarn, and because she loves to garage sale, and a lot of times they won't have labels on them. And so it's a really, really great tool. Now, I've been working with yarn a really long time, so I can pretty much eyeball it. But some of them, like the sport weight and worsted weight, there's a big difference between the thickest and the thinnest within those. Oh, Tina says, oh, you have a yarn fairy too. Oh, you guys are so nice to me. She says I'm great. Well, that's pretty much all I have today, and I'm going to keep it short today just because I know those of you who follow me online, you know, my oldest sister passed away on Saturday, and so we're going to be heading out of town, and that's why there won't be any more new videos this week. She was a precious, precious sister, and she'd been sick for a while, and her tired body just, you know, had enough, and so I just say she went on to heaven, and she's not hurting anymore, and someday I'll see her again, because I love her to pieces. So anyway, I didn't want to miss our video today. You all are very important to me and what I do, and I thank you every week, those of you who pop in, and you know, let everybody know. And one thing I have decided I am going to do is we're going to revisit how to read a yarn label. And I think I'd like to do that for the month of August, because I did it it was probably more than a year ago, and I crammed it all into like one video. And so what I think we're going to do is we're just going to kind of what I call dissect a yarn label and just talk about some of the things that we don't really understand. You know, we see all those labels and things on there and pictures, and we're like, oh, what is that? So I think we're going to do that for the month of August and just get a little bit better understanding of how to read a yarn label. And I will be using, I'm going to try to use different yarn labels, because Red Heart, Lion Brand, Hobby Lobby, Michaels, Joann's, they all have their own yarns. But there's a lot of things, sometimes they're in different places on the yarn labels. And so we're just things for you to look for to find the information that you need on a yarn label. So be looking forward to that for the month of August. And then, of course, next Monday, hopefully we'll get the August Peridot 6-inch square for you. And I will see you next week. Thanks again for letting me talk at you today. And I hope you learned something with the WPI. And those of you who are tuning in a little later, I know this video is a little shorter than usual. Just watch it at the beginning. And if you don't see it, you know, I always pop it on over at YouTube for you. So again, thank you and have a wonderful week.